YouTube comments from a video titled, "Watch, the most compelling argument against tech in schools, Sophie Winkleman." Part 8.
Tracy Miller 2038 wrote,
Sadly, people are deceived, dumbed down, gullible, subliminally persuaded propaganda media entertainment. Advertising etc. has influenced people, and people are not thinking for themselves, not standing up for truth, for humanity, for what is right. We didn't have to be shown. We know how wrong these things are, but we are lazy and totally caught up in the ways of the world. Why? The answer is simple. It is a spiritual thing. It is all about God. You see, God Almighty created us in His image and began an incredible love story. Way back in the Garden of Eden. Everything was perfect. We cannot begin to understand, imagine, or know how it all was, or how heaven and eternity will be. But Lucifer, the devil now, was jealous. Incredible jealous pride had filled him. He took to absolute determination to kill, steal, destroy everything God created, and in particular, in doing so, to turn God's previous children against Him. As a parent, we know there is nothing more precious to us than our children, and not only our love for them, but that they love us. Thus the devil has made it priority to destroy family, destroy the father's position as head of masculine, as responsible, who loves his wife and stands for his family. As of the devil has destroyed the wife and motherhood, demanding equality with men, not that God does not see us all equal, He does, but male and female have different roles, abilities that they may fully complement. But the devil has undermined ladies in the home to rather be career buffoons. As of children now, in divided homes plummet. Schools are a great daycare center to do, as they want, with all the children leaving parents free to make more money. The whole trap snare plan is now well established, but in no ways completed. The devil wants full control, absolute power, and the image of God Almighty taken out of people, or people reject God Almighty and choose the devil's image. We are now in a world of incredible technology that literally can alter what it means to be human, messing with mind and biological egg DNA. This technology is a fast-track, one-way ticket to eternal separation from God Almighty. The devil wanting people to be fully reliant, fully controlled by his system. All this AI technology is a hyper lie that it will improve, help, benefit humanity. It is out to kill, steal, destroy. We have gone too far. It's too late, but for individuals we can and must do our best to not get caught up into the system. The Great Reset, the new One World Order system. The mark of the beast. Choose today God Almighty, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the Son of God, Jesus Christ, as Savior, who loved us and made a way for reconciliation by the death of Jesus on the cross and the resurrection, and being filled with God's Holy Spirit. We can choose this and have eternal life with God Almighty in paradise, or we can reject God Almighty and give ourselves to the devil, and then have eternal death, a place where there is absolutely nothing good of any kind, an awful place for eternity. This is war. This is a battle for your children, for family, for humanity.
A Truth Quest P8W wrote,
It's about young minds in schools being exposed to AI, programming, Matrix-like, and like the Dark Crystal movie, draining their vital essence and setting them up for eye damage and other diseases. All profitable industry.
A Tony Lord 9917 wrote,
I can answer that question. We of the West embraced the satanic cult of feminism. This brought about a culture that eschewed Christianity causing our foundation to deteriorate. The family has been humiliated and is being destroyed. Marriage has been vilified. Husbands and fathers have been deemed unimportant. Infidelity and divorce has been rampant, and as a result, our children are being raised by bitter, middle-aged women who would rather shove a device in their hand to raise them than raise them herself. First, we need God. Then we need marriage and family with the proper hierarchical family unit.
At Morgan Dirkswager wrote,
Well, as the parents, that's your personal choice to hand them a screen to zone out on all day. That's what you teach them with your actions and screen time too, instead of spending quality time with them out in nature. Be present or be prepared for the consequences.
At Stephanie Varela 620 wrote,
I think all schools should get back to teaching face-to-face. No more computer lessons. No more work to be done on computers. And then paper to be used.
At Chris Walker 4272 wrote,
Thank you for a super professionally delivered argument for what you truly believe in. But having been there firsthand and in every location for decades, I have to absolutely disagree with your argument's core preconceptions totally. BTW, Google Classroom equals school ed, Microsoft Teams equals corporate. They're completely different. Also, most children in the UK don't use Microsoft Office, as Google Docs is free, without annual subscription, and works on any device. But glad you actually visited a school, so you could see for yourself, without any preconceptions, what was engineered for your convenience. But not an average day, or prepared for. Oh, and asking teachers that write on a board would be like watching paint dry for most children. I couldn't imagine a more wrong move, unless the teacher had something else worth watching, mostly unlikely too. I wish you could see below the veneer of expert references. You would have to completely deconstruct your beliefs, and maybe you would have the power to actually pull the lid off and find very different possibilities, as opposed to criticizing technology and the educational industry. The times they were a-changing, 20 years ago, and in life, you can never go back to how things were short of EMFs resetting at all. But then education would be the last thing you cared about.
At Chris Walker 4272 wrote,
How's the tech guy installing, training, and maintaining every aspect of this tech? The biggest negative impact is children don't physically delete to each other because of mobile phones. They're not mobile phones, should be called remote terminals, because phone calls are the last thing they're ever used for. The difference of social interaction pre and post is astonishing. But very few ever get to see the whole picture. Teaching staff are too busy managing disciplining or having their own break when children hang out together in corridors or outside.
The kids outside would mostly not use devices unless filming a fete or looking at something inappropriate, just like those who would have a fag behind the bayek shed, pre-tech.
But most inside changed their social behaviour towards their peers dramatically over a period of about 3 to 5 years. I could be trusted by them because I was useful and a teacher not. Also had a reputation of fixing their laptops or home devices when they broke. Replaced a few of their screens act. So they all trusted me and knew I had no connection to teaching staff and would never ask questions. So my view into their ways was unfiltered. Other staff were the enemy. KV, lookouts, it's all a hidden world to the grown-ups. Their very perception of the world around them has changed like a horror sci-fi movie, and nobody really noticed. Maybe because I have a master's in drawing and painting, I've learnt to look, see the detail, but it's not all downsides. Phones equals bad, but most teachers have had their enthusiasm beat out of them by constant bureaucratic change and micromanagement for the purposes of everything but actual child education and development. Crap teacher equals lack of interest. What's exciting, inspirational, or fun to delve into if you were that child in that lesson? Nobody wants to be there but me. Because I enjoyed my job, could have a teaching area back up and running in minuets. Everybody's taken their eye off the reason why they're there. To help each child achieve their best life. All the experts don't have a clue because their invested interest gives them a pension to retire on. The children hide their personal selves to avoid complication. It's all so natural. But an AI teacher would have more patience and time for each individual child, never have a bad day, or destroy kids in the staff room. Don't believe what anybody argues or presents. Because they're not living in the same reality as these children are. No cool teacher can ever be in the same reality as a school child on the device and zoned out of much of what's going on around them. It's simple not possible, and these young people know which teacher has entered their corridor by the sound of their gate. I did too. Phones, iPads, and handheld devices equals all bad and much more interesting. A personal, machine learning, artificial teacher could compete at the same level as any handheld devices, so far as the draw goes. Would have the massive advantage of actually being interested in a child's development, and each child is starving for this personally tailored leadership and interest in them. This would be even more revolutionary and could help them develop both socially and academically at an accelerated pace beyond expectation. If all their social time was without electronic interface time, I do believe they might actually start talking to each other enthusiastically again, interacting and learning to be around other people types. It's simples. Teaching has not really changed in tens of thousands of years. The old Victorian model of a teacher and her subjects doesn't work for the vast majority of contemporary children anymore. Because any child can instantly access more up-to-date knowledge than any teacher's specialized knowledge. So the very source has changed. Teachers are often child sitters almost, because they're more and more dictated to for how and what they deliver, very slowly and with loads of distractions. An artificial machine learning interface, because AI is a false term emo, has no distraction from the child it's working for. Doesn't need to consult a book or the internet or guidelines to answer what a child may ask if their arm doesn't fall off waiting for the opportunity to actually speak or ask. Children should be seen but not heard, such a Victorian concept.
Did it work? One wrote.
Australia is not doing it to protect children. They are following the WEF model of digital ID and social credit score. Parents need to step up and be parents. Get your house in order.
TSWT61 wrote.
Don't blame the internet. They are upset because the politicians have taken away all their sense of belonging to a country. They are now these vague globalist citizens because they are told the planet is ending. So why bother worrying about striving for your future? Old people being lonely because of the internet, I think it actually allows them more contact with the outside world. I've got 4 grandchildren in their 20s. They all have good jobs, nice partners. They grew up with the internet. Why are they having jobs taken by overseas immigrants when they stay in school for so long? I agree there should be breaks from. I taught my children to read with local children's library books. They were head of their class with the school reading books. One was given the grade 2 reading books in grade 1. Because she could already read the grade 1 books, it is very easy to blame the internet. I do believe there needs to be time out away from the internet though. Take the kids to the beach on the weekends.
At Ecstasy 20 wrote,
Next time you hit a red light, don't reach for the phone. Just sit in your head for a while. Feel the good, the bad, notice your thoughts. Take control of your mind, or just feel.
At Lavender Dream 2127 wrote,
Lady, no one wants to teach these back-talking, often violent, spoiled rotten, selfish kids. We are not going to have anyone going into teaching anymore because it's too dangerous and thankless. Who else is going to do it?
At Emily Miller 1792 wrote,
What she is pointing out is the goal of the World Economic Forum. They want to educate everyone for their fourth industrial revolution workforce. Look at their white papers for education 4.0 and the role of technology and AI in education. Your children will be worker bees. No need to participate in self-governance, because that is only a facade obscuring their corporatist control.
At Sophia Champion 2543 wrote,
Promoting education. OMG. TH is never after the date like that. It is one of the three. 14th of March 2025 or March 14th, 2025 or March 14th, 2025. Please get off the screens and open a dusty old English grammar book. Yes, the speech is wonderful, but sadly falls upon many deaf ears. Imagine giving this speech with everyone in the audience glued to cell phones. Getting rid of cell phones only during class time is just not enough. Get rid of the trash permanently and use phones to call and speak to someone.
At AF 3893 wrote,
But studies show kids are the least tech-savvy or educated. That's a problem when tech runs your world and can be used to manipulate you and steal your money and identity.
At Crystal Clear 8219 wrote,
Some parents I feel are just as bad. Said from experience, as I had to move down to live with a family member. I felt touched that my little nephews had a ball playing with me with big smiles on their face while I see their mother sitting on the couch playing with her phone while the father, my brother, was working on his cars. He was working, she was off work to stare at her phone since she knew I was already there to entertain them. I was thinking, girl, do you not realize how lucky you are to have these beautiful kids? Many can't have any. It was sad. You made some great valid points.
At Bull One the One Great wrote,
They want to raise zombie docile generation that won't oppose anything and will comply with anything. Politicians will be able to go on about as they please because no one will be able to form a protest.
At Rebecca CV5YH wrote,
Return back to the classic age. Organic farming. Cherishing family values. Eat healthy, live healthy. Going to church, turning back to God. Living a faithful life with family, cherishing hobbies, singing, playing music. Playing indoor and outdoor games. Have children preserve character, race, and culture.
At Clarelicon 8377 wrote,
Wholeheartedly agree with everything she says except for applauding Australia for its social media ban for kids. Living here and looking deeply at it, it is not about keeping children safe, as lauded. Tracks a lot more closely to the other concerns raised around surveillance, when you dig into the details of implementing it.
At Rakaz 2685 wrote,
Surely there has to be a happy medium. That way the children can still search the net for which members of the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship can follow the cash of its donors to find who caused all of their problems in the first place. Just joking. We both know that is a joke, as they are connected to the people who control what we can and cannot see on the internet, so they will never be held accountable for what they have done, will they?
At Six Bertelsons wrote,
Worship is the key word. The songs we sing in a worship service are not about us. They are to honor, praise, worship, and glorify the Lord. If they draw the unbeliever in, great, but they aren't for the unbeliever, they are for God. The only person we should be asking how was the worship? Is God, since He is the one we are giving it to.
As Sonnet 897 wrote,
When I was in school, we had to hand our phones in at the beginning of the day and could fetch it after school. This was in 2009.
At N. Hooper 726 wrote,
THE controllers just do and care. They're mentally deranged in service to self, insanity, and cruelty. It gives them adrenaline buzzs. To bleed and take is their power.
At N. Hooper 726 wrote,
With AI being force-fed for the future control, by a few controllers, we all have a grim future as organic beings. But a lot of the digital age are seeing through the tech now, and getting bored with so much hypocrisy and confusion, they are now going off-grid and moving on to a more holistic environment. Everything moves and changes. It's just a fuzzus.
At Dr. Russell McConnell wrote,
As a university teacher, I had to ban all electronics just so I could see the eyes of my students. The overwhelming majority of the time, I allowed students to use their computers. They were just playing in class.
At Patty Harvey, J4W wrote,
Brilliant speech. Thank you. Why is the right to remove the human experience so lauded? I think because young minds are easiest to mold and control. AI entrepreneurs have invested billions to guarantee their futuristic vision for a world does not require human beings. Creative and independent thinkers, democratic thinkers, and humanitarians get in their way.
At Liquid Moco Film Silk 4915 wrote,
I'll tell you what though, those books are just as fine expensive. At an average of $120 a pop, that is just as expensive. This is what I would do. The teachers already know there. So, these things are beginning to do. My daughter hesitates. Material, and what the state-mandated tests measure. Let the teachers use AI to build curriculums in their subjects, and teach what they went to school for, from that. As example, at my university, we rarely crack open our books, because all the teaching is done by the professors who also create their own homework based on what they teach, not out of some overly detailed book that is almost impossible to learn from.
Carrie Hanlon 88 wrote,
In Australia, kids are not allowed phones at schools. My daughter does play on the iPad, but she is not obsessed with it. She will always play outside or just play in general over screen time anytime. I do see this as a real issue, and we need to do something ASAP.
At Wendy Andrew 3707 wrote,
As a teacher retired, after teaching a class of children on a wonderful project and seeing them waste the opportunity, but not all of them, I didn't want to teach them again unless phones were banned. The school wouldn't ban them, and I wouldn't waste my time with the children again. Seems blindingly obvious they shouldn't be allowed. What is wrong with people not banning them?
At Deborah Still 4127 wrote,
This woman is right on point. I wish could be run on all social media and it be only thing one could hear see. So sad. I see some of what she speaks about with my own grandchildren.
At DMary the RBT wrote,
Technology is a tool, not the solution. When I first started teaching, we had one class period per week as a special. The kids enjoyed it, and their time was limited and purposeful. Moderation is the key, not banning it. AI will end society if we let it.
At Connecting Dots wrote,
This vid compels most who view it to do something about this in their own lives, even more so if they have children.
Yet, it may be too late given how ingrained the tech is and the amount of money and power and control that elites are sure to gain and are already gaining over society in general via tech and the AI, to which humans will be and are outsourcing their executive function to. Terrifying, really. As terrifying as the statistics here regarding the mental health and even physical health in question. Still, we have a choice.
Race. Ventures wrote.
Seen from afar, humans would appear to be a dumb herd animal being abused, poisoned, murdered, starved, robbed, experimented on like lab rats by a few who seem slightly more intelligent. There comes a time, human, when we need to be bad.
Race. Ventures wrote.
Just how bad does it need to get before you all accept governments are evil? They loathe humans, have been murdering us for thousands of years. WTFU.
Race. Ventures wrote.
I watched a 3-year-old in a mal play area trying to get Daddy's attention. Daddy had his head down in his phone. If only Daddy knew how fast this valuable time will pass.
At Wikitwalk 1383 wrote.
This, coupled with the No Child Left Behind, has destroyed the last couple generations of children. My son goes to school every day, yet he can't spell anything asking Ziggy, Siri, or Alexa everything. It's taking away their critical thinking skills. Social media, or as I say, antisocial media, has doomed them from very serious and needed aspects of our social order.
At Ingrid Linda 215 wrote.
Kids should not be on phone all day, should be in natur enjoying their self not messing up their brain with 4G and 5G watt is very dangerous.
Kendo Samp wrote.
How about the obvious truth we have all experienced? All mainstream education institutions are garbage. The tech learning of now is merely an extension of the same garbage with a current-day wrapper. For 98% of all students, after completion of the education standards forced down our throats, only a fraction of the teachings are used in the real world. Regardless of the media, education is a failure. It reflects the ongoing human experience in general. On the bright side, many are waking to this reality and embracing the organics of existence.
Krenz wrote.
I can attest to her study, research, and argument. Teaching is now dead. I am an annoyance to my high school students. Students have no understanding of the past or the future consequences of the insanity they were thrust into since 2009, thanks to Apple. And later, Zuck and FB, etc. sickening to argue with staff in my school to ban devices in the playground. Below high school kids sit in the grounds gaming. Kids have no idea of what they've learned as they rely on AI and Google. There is no need for relics such as magazines, textbooks, novels, and more. I am sure that I will need to look for a new career, and I am close to my retirement. Teaching is a chore now. 23 years of teaching during the incremental and sickening development of touch screens and tablets has shown me it is all by design. Dumb them down, make them passive, make them, as said here, anxious and useless. This is not what WW2 vets fought for. This is a prison designed by the oligarchs who will use your children as pawns for their ends as part of the Internet of Things, as data for the algorithms and their bank accounts. Pray hard, your children will need it.
At Mitchell's Hawaii wrote.
Parental revolution never going to happen, unfortunately. Kids aren't going to spend all day at home on a screen, then show up to school and happily go through the withdrawal.
At Robert Jones 6396 wrote.
You are someone who has made me remember just how beautiful and courageous human beings can be. I often feel like an alien in the USA because I grow my own food. Removed use of all social media, only use YouTube for educational purposes. Limited my use of cellular telephones, visit libraries often, and read at least a book per month. But these things make me seem strange and foreign to most people. I travel a lot, and I see many differences based on which countries I visit. Lately, I have been trying to find a place to live where people are not being poisoned by digital addiction, propaganda, fear of crime, and fake food. Again, thank you for telling people the truth which they wish to avoid. May the Almighty continue to bless and protect you.
At Shoshanaker8774 wrote,
A wonderful speech and spot on. Thank you, Sophie is a person who cares, but sadly this usage is encouraged by an agenda to dumb down, isolate, harm, and take control of our children. Yes, tech may be helpful in small doses, but the harm it does massively outweighs its usefulness.
At Janaglees7088 wrote,
Jay believe it is the plan to neutralize, take our own thought power, and in the end control humans with timeless rubbish and absolutely watting our time, which we could use on each other, using our fantasy, even 2 till 3 years are sitting with an iPad or parent's phone. Of course, it has an effect on the personality. We will end up with a population on Earth that can't think by ourselves. Easy to manipulate with artificial unnatural FEDING programming, but you can always do one thing. One button can end the noise and the endless info. You have the choice, do you dare?
At Momo58076 wrote,
She's so right, so much I myself miss about the analog. People connected more, children's minds felt more protected. Today it's just a plastic world, children lack personal mind creativity cause all they know is screen. End screen the relationship with actual environment around us has been cut off.
Kirk H5F wrote,
What have we done? Nothing. What have you done? Everything to dismantle the society I once lived in. Not perfect, but way better than this dystopia. I didn't, and am, not shipping bucket loads of hairdressing vaping salon, dancers the right to inhabit our high streets. Did the butchers, baby shops, food shops, general brick, a brack DIY, stores, sweet shops, pet shops become my fault or the fault of you? Do not blame me for your invasion, but who did it you, not we?
A doctor, Radio Books wrote,
Artificial intelligence AI has significantly matured, demonstrating substantial capabilities across various industries. While there's no single, universally accepted measure of AI maturity, several frameworks and models provide insights into its progression. AI maturity models. Gartner AI maturity model *. Gartner's model outlines different levels of AI maturity, highlighting key capabilities and characteristics at each stage. This framework helps organizations assess their current AI capabilities and identify areas for improvement. MIT CISR Enterprise AI Maturity Model. This model maps 4 stages of enterprise AI maturity, from experiment and prepare to become AI future ready. Organizations in the last two stages tend to outperform their industry peers financially. AI thinking maturity levels asterisk. This framework assesses AI maturity across 5 levels, from no formal AI strategy level 0 to optimized level 5, where AI is deeply embedded in the organization's culture and decision-making processes. Current state of AI maturity. Varied adoption. AI adoption varies across organizations, with some experimenting with pilot projects and others achieving significant business value through AI integration. Increasing investment. Companies are investing in AI research and development, talent acquisition, and infrastructure to enhance their AI capabilities. Growing importance. AI is becoming increasingly crucial for businesses, with many recognizing its potential to drive innovation, efficiency, and growth. Achieving higher AI maturity to advance AI maturity. Organizations should develop a clear AI strategy, align AI goals with business objectives, and create a detailed roadmap. Invest in data management, ensure high data quality, and establish strong data governance. Build AI talent and skills asterisk. Upskill employees and hire AI specialists. Asterisk pilot and scale AI projects asterisk. Start with small projects and expand successful ones. Foster a culture of innovation asterisk. Encourage experimentation and cross-department collaboration. 123 www.nsxtpac.org.
At Adam Patrick 9639 wrote,
If they weren't on those devices, they might realize the WEF. Rich boomers and corrupt politicians had stolen their financial futures, robbed them of home ownership and relative safety. So quit winging.
Sammy1M9S wrote,
And who, exactly, contributed to this state of affairs? Parents, schools, corporations harvesting ads and governments using it to frame subservient psychological influences along with their big tech boss corporations. Pressured before puberty and entangled as teenagers. We all have a part to play.
To Caroline Anthony, X9D wrote,
This message, which is so heartfelt, resonates to any generation from now on. When we love and care, we don't need to write down notes. We speak from our hearts. A message that contributes to society, to children, to teenagers, young parents, or any human being. Words come out seamlessly and flawlessly. I love every word Sophie has spoken. Hope someone has learned something from this video, especially adults who neglect children.
At unreality_3D wrote,
Big Suze couldn't teach kids in the information age wants to blame information. What a load of crap. I know 8-year-olds that can program and create things in a way this lady will never be able to. To say this technology is hurtful to kids is dumb. In the 30 years we have been in the information age and had the internet kids that have grown up with, We have put helicopters on Mars, made self-driving cars, created artificial intelligence, drones, and robots, while being able to edit the human genome. What did this lady do with her analog education? 2 world wars, 2 Great Depressions, 15 years of austerity. It's not looking good for traditional education.
Esanov Cerberus wrote,
Can we please get someone with an understanding of technology, screens, and computers? Her data is very cherry-picked and framed in a certain way. But it's only half true. For example, Steve Jobs was asked by a reporter whether his children liked the new device after the first iPad launch. Jobs replied, "They haven't used it." We limit how much technology our kids use at home. He never said they don't use technology or the iPad. Mark Zuckerberg did go to a tech-free school, but his early exposure to technology and coding laid the groundwork for future success in the tech industry. Elon Musk taught himself coding at the age of 10. The problems are AI and social media, and so I believe it is a mistake to bracket all digital tech as the same.
Egaliscary wrote,
I taught in middle school literature Macbeth. 4 hours studying as class Act 1, 5th hour watching the complete Act 1 Ian McKenna's Macbeth online, same through Act 5. My students were electrified. Held their interest and excitement for Shakespeare in this way. Yes, tech is a wonderful tool handled correctly. This was a private middle school in Zambia. Shakespeare is universal.
Amy CG4C wrote,
My children weren't exposed to cell phones. I didn't have one until my children were in their late teens and my daughter went to college, which I regret, and she told me I needed to get one. But now in their 20s pay too much attention to these stupid phones. Not sure what to do about it. Pray. But IHV to say people push them into this? Can't do anything without a phone or computer. Try to make an app. Add a dogger. Before it took 30 seconds to flip open an app. Book in pencil and a name and a time slot. Now it takes a minimum of 15 minutes with a stupid computer, and they still can't get it right. I blame adults.
Caffey T wrote,
I remember not being thrilled when screens in classroom replaced books and writing, and I tried at times to warning parents to not give little kids iPads. That people slowly wakes up around over 10 years later is, yeah, wow.
At Mr. Beneficial wrote,
Sounds noble, but it shouldn't be the government's job to babysit children. They're just going to make internet access a privilege. And if smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or driving a vehicle, all will be ID checked. Goodbye, freedom. Hello, restrictions.
At Disgruntled Wookie 369 wrote,
After the invention of the printing press, well-respected people claimed that books would mean the death of conversation and culture. They were worried about the exact same thing you are worried about now. Yet now we laugh at them for being so silly. We regard books and reading as a sign of intelligence and culture. How is this any different? People who grew up without a technology always fear what that technology will do to the next generation. Those fears are always unfounded.
The Staroon wrote,
My 22-month-old can count to 6, and it's thanks to watching Number Blocks. If my 22-month-old was watching Skibidi Toilet, it would be harmful. The enemy is content, not tech. And where is the proof that reading on a book is better than reading on a screen? That's a very bold claim.
At Gemma Walters 2942 wrote,
This would mean a lot more if it wasn't coming from a woman, because the fact is technology isn't the only issue but the feminization of the classroom. There's no structure, something men are needed for.
At Lord Wright wrote,
BS. She's suffering W/DS dinosaur syndrome? Moving W/times means progress. Most PPL 50 plus resist it BC, they don't understand it, and they don't know how to parent their kids. Don't buy your child a phone.
Turn OFS social media IFU don't like I. Be a parent TO your child instead of muting the entire world to keep him from distractions and temptations. Teach them to say no. Thank you. Pray W/them. Teach them to be selective and to put their mental health always ahead of what's pop. Always check W/school officials. Show up unexpectedly to make sure your child is not skipping class to play video games. Be a parent.
At Hans Schreiber, K9 and wrote.
In addition to valuable information, I have to say that also speaking with a professor at university was much more useful than to read a book. Therefore, books are a precursor to our horrible digital world.
At Hans Schreiber, K9 and wrote.
A friend of mine was always speaking to a crow during lunchtime, and the crow came back each day, and they understood each other. Can a digital device do this?
At Hans Schreiber, K9 and wrote.
You are absolutely right, smartphones should be prohibited forever. A phone is there to speak nothing else. My childs have their phone beside them at breakfast, dinner, and lunch. They are looking at them every 3 minutes. They have them beside their bed instead of a woman, and they are. Adults, I have my phone in the kitchen as far away as possible. We have to go into a new middle age to overcome those horrors. I extend this to all digital devices.
At 1/137 wrote.
If the platforms were organic and kids formed and structured the places they meet in and socialize in the virtual world, it might not be so bad. That's why we did as kids on the early internet. We roamed the bad Wild West it was and tried to create little nooks where we could socialize or game together. Those places exist, but the majority of online spaces today are for profit and paid by marketing and adverts. Pay per interaction. So they use the power of marketing psychologists to manipulate our children's dopamine systems to keep interacting, keep attention. When they leave the phone, the platforms know this. They will start using notifications and cues to bring them back. And all social media notifications. It's simple and effective. Like breaking the mosquito problem, you need to attack it at the earliest and most weak stage in its life cycle. The phone cycle is weakest when the screen is locked. Attacking it there by disabling notifications stops the phone cycle. If it doesn't interrupt the child while it is staring out the window, the child will continue to drift off into wonder as it should.
At 1/137 wrote.
I come from the last generation to grow up without smartphones. I got my first smartphone when I was about 28. Most of my younger friends, even a few years younger, cannot stand that when it pings, I don't look. I don't lift it. I let it be. It pings, it's what it does. The best thing you can do for your life, if you have a smartphone, is filter your notifications aggressively. No social media alerts, period. If it pings, it's garbage. If it's a message, then I might consider looking at some point. 99% of the communications on a phone are asynchronous. Do not require instant feedback. The message will wait. The person that sent it will wait. Just like sometimes you wouldn't answer the phone as it would intrusive to your moment. DONOT lift that phone when it pings.
At Nicola Cady 1057 wrote.
Why doesn't she mention Waldorf schools? My parents signed a form to not even have a screen for TV watching at home. I believe I had the best upbringing where I can build guitars, speak 3 languages, play multiple instruments, went to med school, and had inspiring, uplifting, and dedicated teachers who left an incredible legacy.
At FanChat 777 wrote.
Technology cars, computers, phones, dating sites, entertainment, religion, shopping, porn, directions while driving, news, and I could do a research of hundreds of pages handwritten about cell phones, healthcare, weapons of war, food, movies, obesity, diseases, and more. It's connected by dots, which adds to the GDP outcome. which CEOs love and lobby Washington.
Adagediageti 2126 wrote,
We live in an app prison. We have not chosen it. We are forced and have no choice. Freedom does not exist. They call it democracy. Adults work 12 hours a day. The children live in preschool.
Adjuntus89 wrote,
Why is she talking like she is reading 1890s fiction literature? You're not royalty, and nobody speaks like that today. I understand you want to sound ladylike because you are married to a lord, but you are not actually royalty. You're an actress, an unknown actress who knows nothing about how society works. Your degree is in English literature, obviously. What else would it be? You read Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte and all that soppy, boring shite. You aren't an expert in psychology, sociology, or technology, sweetheart. The moment I heard this crumpet talk, I know she was a superficial narcissist. I can't stand people like her.
A Sprout Fuel 2 wrote,
Not true for all of us. Racist and discriminatory analog teachers in school and private instruction. Being mixed race and Asian American first generation, I found relief from their persecution and ill treatment AE. Language freedom violations, so I couldn't speak Japanese with my mother at home or with my grandparents and relatives. Only remote learning made it possible for me to learn without intense persecution and interference.
Tranquil, Wild, Nature wrote,
Even when people do find someone, I see them on dates, just sat there on their phones. So what's the point for them even looking? Poor children have been way too exposed. The future for them and all of us is bleak.
At Elizabeth Mayers 3729 wrote,
So well said. As a college instructor for the last 20 years, I have seen a massive decrease in the ability of students to learn and definitely to write a coherent essay answer. The students are used to getting all the grades for simply copying and pasting and clicking through without learning anything. I have taught science with labs in every format of online, hybrid, and in person for many years. Now education is a business, and when I get bad reviews for being too tough, they will simply take an easier class. If my classes don't fill, the administrators are not happy due to enrollment being at the center of every conversation. Therefore, it has become a race to the bottom. I have a bad feeling that real education will be only for the wealthy going forward.
At Dwayne Hudspeth 2073 wrote,
American school system, IS stupid FOR allowing cell phones AT school. I think THE government wants this TO keep them ignorant, which makes them easier TO indoctrinate AND control.
At Chris I. Crompton 6984 wrote,
This made me cry for all the lost childhoods that tech is creating. We need more Sophie Winklemans to fight for our younger generations. Thankfully, my daughter does everything in her power to protect my granddaughter from screens. She gets looks of amazement when she says that her daughter doesn't own an iPad and that she entertains herself happily with paper and pencils.
At Gary 122 wrote,
Sorry, you lost me when you said bravo for Australia limiting social media for under 16s. This is a red flag to bring in digital ID, authentication, and censorship. All to so-called protecting the children. Wake up.
At Desarage Tube wrote,
Absolutely. Well said. School education has stretched their power too much by compelling use of screens and iPads in classrooms as early as 5 years old child. In the name civilized and developed, they have become communist nations. Parents have become subjects of state nanny and technoslave. They have no space and confidence as parents. Kids throw strong tantrums and parents have skills and capacity than to succumb to child barrage of tantrum in a civilized and developed parenting world. What a shame-broken society into individual zombies. Technology is good when material power required is stronger and faster than an individual human needs for survival surrounded by people.
QWQ 203 wrote,
The youth today think they are so much smarter than pre-tech in schools. They are NOT. We had to use our brains and do the research ourselves. Nowadays, they just Google it and have AI write it for them, all the while not comprehending a thing.
At Willard Chi 2571 wrote,
Social media is not a great connecting force. It is a great connection destroying force. By making connecting so easy, it makes connecting meaningless. If, for example, making money were as easy, everyone would have lots of money, so money would be worthless. For something to be of value, it must be worked for. Real connections are actually investments.
At Limsiphosiris 3187 wrote,
Everything very true that Sophie Winkleman says, though I wonder at the hesitation in determining why we are handing this asset to our kids, money. If I can get 60% of the result, but save 100% of most salaries, then that's worth it in some minds. Same thing we can see with the push for AI relating to regular office work. Also, so much of it simply depends on adults. Children imitate. We can't complain about children not reading when something like 40% of adults in the US failed to read even a single book in 2024.
At Truth 6612 wrote,
When I was in high school, we had textbooks. Our daughter just finished grade 9, and she never had a single textbook for any of her classes. No wonder students have become addicted to their devices.
At Darren Clapson, NT9LQ wrote,
Australia's stand is NOT coherent. It is entirely politically motivated. Porn in Australia is available on every device at every hour, and they want to ban kids watching YouTube. It starts with widespread bans globally on porn and making it extremely hard to locate the same way they did with gore.
At Francis Webb 3295 wrote,
This is amazing. So thankful for this. It is so important what is happening to our children. And I am sharing this. I commend the ARC. Thank you, and God bless you for informing us.
At Eric Thompson E2P wrote,
I'm glad I grew up when I did. There were no computers that I recall in people's homes. I would much rather play outside with real people rather than watch TV.
And Nashua L1H wrote,
Schools will be obsolete while the parent sits at home watching the children with her presence, only to allow AI to teach children. These will be the paid jobs in the future, watching and commenting. Almost like God knowing every particle that civilization was created for to exist.
At Caroline LGM wrote,
As a teacher, senior management in schools need to watch this. I purchased books for my students to write in, but other staff in the depot wasn't interested and wanted to use iPads. Local govs need to stop handing them out to schools for students. It's a constant battle.
At Abraham M4R4G wrote,
Después de todo, la inversión más valiosa no está en walls, pero en nuestros hijos de los cuales todos los adultos somos responsables. De ellos son el futuro de este país. Aquí donde están las plantas de tus pies. Los labios que habían sabiduría para defender a sus hijos, con un corazón entendido, merecen un beso del Rey de Reyes.
At Bernhard 6184 wrote,
No need for children getting taught on computers before they are at least 15 years old. Learning the basics should be the priority number one. If I have to choose a young person for a job in the company, I need the brains, not screen wipers. Everything else they can learn easily. My background is more than 25 years working in IT in all flavors.
Eduma Maheshwari XX8TI wrote,
Moral of the story is developing countries may be slow to catch up with the so-called advanced technology, but in the process they learn how damaging these things can be experimented by developed countries, and never go there instead. Stick with whatever is already giving improvement, saving money, and damaged younger generations. My opinion, Noelian.
At Piyush Yadav N1R3R wrote,
The art of literature, animating ideas, emotions, and nature inside head with 26 letters is fading away. We need to stop this starting from us before eyes and brains of innocent Gen Alpha are rotten away due to doing experiments on them.
Penny Regret wrote,
This was great. Another piece of anecdotal evidence. The students I teach used to go outside in the 15-minute seminar break and smoke, yes, I know, and flirt, and laugh, and talk to each other. About 7 years ago, that stopped. Instead, as the break begins, they pull out their phones and start scrolling in silence. No one talks to their neighbor, no one flirts, no one laughs. It breaks my heart.
At Daniel Hannawalt 4998 wrote,
We live in a high-tech world now, and the screen is a big part of it. However, it should not replace reading, especially joyful reading. Encourage kids to check out books from the library they are interested in. Video games can be a learning exercise if in moderation. I have a grandson, 17, who plays video games, but anytime I need his help with something, he never complains and drops the game. I sometimes pretend I need help, being careful not to let him know I'm doing that. Sometimes I actually need help. His willingness to drop the game and help tells me he likes doing things other than play his games. He's learned a good deal about electrical work, carpentry, plumbing, as well as some other things. Hopefully, those type jobs will still exist for many years before robots take over completely.
At Island Girl 5382 wrote,
Yes, what did we do? Our society played a huge part where we are today. Unfortunately, I don't see how it can be reversed. Talking about it with no real answers in sight. This has been discussed for years now.
At Eric Larson 7556 wrote,
I'm certain she is loving her tech is bad for kids' success on her tech sites Facebook, X, and TikTok as well as here. Tech works for her, just not kids. Pity poo.
At Unicorn Kisses 7359 wrote,
The online ban for under 16s in Australia is not what she thinks it is, and there are Australians fighting against it. It's sad that so many can't see the plan behind the action. And it's NOT to benefit the masses.
At Jedi_Judo 19 wrote,
I can't agree with these statements as a teacher and as an adult in the 21st century. We need to embrace tech, not go on a witch hunt. Yes, there are a lot of negatives, but there should be balance like anything else in life. Anything in extremes is bad for us.
At Black Empress 2040 wrote,
This woman is brilliant and beautiful. She looks like Adele. I have been in many confrontations due to my opinion of technology. Everyone tells me I need to adapt to modern society. I was born 1988, but raised by my grandma, born 1944. My generation was the last to live our entire childhood without modern technology.
At Deborikish 5411 wrote,
I'm raising my 8-year-old granddaughter, and she won't have a cell phone until she's at least 16. The internet is no place for young minds, especially with all the predators.
At user EP9XT1 who 1D wrote,
Thank you for this. In my day, my family did not have a landline phone. No fridge, no TV, washed in a bowl in front of a coal fire. had a top-loading washing machine with a mangle attachment. We never brushing our teeth at all. No one had a car. We played out. Or made doll cloths. Made our own cloths. Smelt like a human. I read countless books from the library and took out records from the library to play on our gramophone. Listened collectively to Radio 4. You should see what I do now in my 60s. All the skills I have. Capacity still getting into trouble. Tech, the opium of the people. Go to church. Preferably Catholic. Fueled by gossip. No need for further entertainments.
Curtis King, 1758, wrote,
Developing advanced technologies, Phoenix Rising, change the business models and you will change the world. We the people are more than our job titles. Parents have the fundamental right to raise and educate their children according to their own values and beliefs. It is an infringement on human rights for corporate America to co-opt and indoctrinate the young minds of our nation's youth to serve corporate interests. Educators must resist the temptation to prepare young minds for a life of indenture to any company's workforce. The future of our children should not be dictated by corporate agendas. We demand that our educational institutions remain independent and focused on holistic development, rather than serving as feeder programs for corporate labor forces. Let us stand united in protecting the human rights of our children and ensuring that their futures are not compromised by corporate influence. Human rights, educational freedom, corporate accountability, corporate labor forces, indenture workforce.
Adana DD6F wrote,
Yep, an absolute ruddy disgrace. What have you done to our children? Shame on so-called professionals. Leave the kids alone. Real integrity intelligence knows to stay away from artificial, it has a short expiry date.
Melvin Woolard wrote,
It must be 4 or 5 years ago. I first believed that all forms of electronic devices should be removed from schools. Children today are not allowed to be children. They are just a commodity for big business to use and abuse any way they see fit.
Misunderskernanto wrote,
And I wish parents would face the fact that their children are not innocent. They watch porn a lot, and these have long-term effects to behavior and view of relationships.